Be kind, rewind. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with VHS, the first of a pretty noteworthy horror series that has, I want to say, 5 or 6 films currently. This series of movies is actually pretty popular. And all I know about them is that the movies are anthology films. Um, each movie, it kind of tells like these anthology stories. And I guess maybe a VHS is kind of the connecting point to all of them or something. I don't know like the actual stories or the actual horror, any spoilers really. I just know the basic concept. And it kind of reminds me of All Hallows Eve. If you remember, we reacted to All Hallows Eve, which is an anthology movie that is also the birthplace of the now iconic Art the Clown. This is where the character got his start, and it was also like a series of like short films that was created by Damien Leone and all. Um, in at different points. So it's like you even in that movie got to see like different iterations of Art the Clown, and it's really interesting in that regard. It was really cool getting to see these different iterations and different stories. And I think this is going to be like that. Just I'm probably a little less connected than All Hallows Eve was. I've seen anthology movies and stuff before, so I get the gist of it. Um, but I'm interested to see what this is because this is pretty popular. Again, I've heard a lot of good things about VHS and just the series in general. So I'm very curious about this. I don't know exactly what kind of horror it's going to be. Is it going to be slasher? Is it going to be supernatural? Monster? Monster and supernatural can go hand in hand, but not always. So that's why I separate them. But there's a lot of different horror subgenres here that this could tackle. And I don't know like exactly what it's going for in that regards because I don't know anything about the stories or spoilers in any way. I also don't know who's in these movies. I don't know if there's anyone big, anyone like any big names at all. So we're gonna have to find that out as we watch. But just as a note, this is a donation reward for Venom. Not a surprise. Thank you, Venom. Um, and yeah, this is just continuing this week with some early prep horror movies for the upcoming October Halloween special. So, getting the ball rolling a little early, but that's fine. We already did one horror movie this week. What's so wrong with another? I'm very interested to see like the tone of this too, because an anthology can be very silly, but it could also be very serious. All Hallows Eve, for example, was actually kind of a blend of silly and serious. There was some silly aspects to it, some things that were just a little goofy, a little funny, but a lot of it was very serious in nature, especially with the ending. Like Art the Clown just fucking killed a couple children. um, yeah, it's pretty brutal, and it's gonna be interesting to see that topped in Terrifier 3, but because you know it's going to be. But I'm wondering how like serious and deranged this is going to get comparatively. I mean, I wouldn't put it on necessarily the level of Terrifier because that's a whole different level in terms of deranged. But I don't know. Maybe it'll surprise me in that regard. Um, I guess there's not really much of anything else to say, but let's get to it. Let's see what this film has in store and how this anthology pans out. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. We have gaming content as well on our secondary channel, Princess of Gaming. Every single day we upload parts of Baldur's Gate 3, and every other day is Horizon Forbidden West. But on Saturdays, we also get to Nier Automata. Don't forget to click the link in the description for today's reaction. I redirect everything on the channel just because of copyright. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that like button. It helps out the channel and allows me to get more of this awesome content to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get on with today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I looked it up. I looked up to see everything that happened and everything I may have missed. And there was quite a few things that I just did not get from this viewing. And maybe on future viewings it would make more sense. It would become more clear. And I might watch reactions or whatnot with this. If I can find any. But I wanted to look this up so I had a more clear picture of everything that happened. Based on, you know, what I can talk about and what I know for the sake of this reaction. So, there's a few different things here. There's all the different tapes, but the main one that's kind of the interlude, prologue, all of that is called Tape 56. It's the frame narrative of the entire film and is what all the other tapes are focused on. So we have Brad, Rox, Zach, and Gary, who are the criminal gang we saw, you know, sexually assaulting women, doing all this vandalism and whatnot. They break into this house for the VHS tapes. They find the old man's corpse, and that's where the tapes come in. So the first actual tape we see outside of that is called Amateur Night. This is the one with the girl who has the split head and everything. So this one was pretty interesting. Just a bunch of dudes like trying to get girls for sex and stuff. You know, stupid idiot, creepy, assaulty guy stuff. Things you see in a lot of movies and unfortunately does happen in real life. So my big thing about this was like, okay, what's happening here after she is revealed to be kind of monstrous and whatnot? There's one part that shows her feet, and it's like I noticed they looked kind of weird. Apparently, according to this, where is it? They were scaly. I didn't quite notice the scales or anything. I noticed they were definitely like weird and off, but yeah, we see her start to attack them all. I was correct about her ripping the penis and balls, just everything off of the one guy. I was completely correct about that. And after, like, he's, you know, the guy, Clint, according to this, is like escaping her, trying to get help from those other 2 guys at the truck. The part that confused me was like right at the end where it's like just things start like shaking around and everything. I couldn't tell what was going on. Apparently there was like one small shot that showed her like as like this creature with wings flying into the air. And she lifts Clint into the air and drops, or the glasses fall off his face and hit the ground. He doesn't fall, the glasses do. But according to this, Lily, the girl, is a succubus. Which, even if I saw the winged form, I would not have put that together. Like, that just wouldn't have been my thought. But yeah, so apparently that's the deal, and that's why the entire I like you thing, and why she was trying to have, like, sex with them and all. And why she, you know, tried to fillet Clint when he was passed out there in the stairwell and all. It all tracks, it all makes sense, but it's like something I would have never guessed from watching that. After that, we have an interlude back with tape 56. Brad was the first one who went missing at this point after watching the tape. They find the hundreds of tapes in the basement and all, and this is where we get that glimpse of the figure walking in the background. And then we go to the second tape, which is Second Honeymoon. So this is one I was. This is the one I feel like I got the most right about, and I felt like I understood the most what was happening. So this is the married couple. They are married. I was thinking they with the ring it had to be either married or at least engaged. Sam and Stephanie, they're traveling along Route 66 for their honeymoon. Oh, it's their honeymoon also. I thought it was just a trip. I might have missed certain dialogue. It's possible. They go to the Wild West Junction and everything. And then we find out about the woman who comes to the door. And she's, creepy, asking them, like, oh, can I get a ride in the morning and stuff? But they apparently deny her. That night, she appears in the room, somehow having gotten in, while Sam and Stephanie are sleeping. She starts messing with them while recording it, steals money from Sam's wallet, and sticks his toothbrush in the toilet. Next morning, he starts to notice things. He doesn't notice the toothbrush, but he notices the money missing. He accuses Stephanie of stealing it, but nothing really happens. They talk about where they're going to go next and talk about going to Vegas. Then it cuts to that night. They're sleeping again, and once again, the woman appears in their room, this time violently and horrifically killing Sam. We next see her with the mask in the bathroom, and that's when Stephanie comes in, and afterwards we see them in the car, and she's asking, oh, did you erase the footage? I had the thought that, this was a planned thing, they had planned to kill him and all. I just didn't understand the exact reasons. Apparently, according to this, Stephanie and the woman are lovers, actually. And from that, we could tell it's okay, so this was a planned thing. I don't know if, this was planned from the beginning, before the marriage and everything, or if this was more recent. But for some reason, they killed him, I don't know, maybe for life insurance or something. This was also, I think, the least paranormal. Most of these were paranormal, but this one was not. It was just, a murder. A murder set up to apparently... So these two, I guess, could maybe be together or something? I don't know. I don't know the exact reasoning. It doesn't say here. But then we get the next interlude. Another person is gone. The corpse is apparently gone during this interlude, too, and I don't think I noticed that. But they talk about making copies of the tape at this point, and then we get Tuesday the 17th. So this is the one in the woods with the person who can't be caught on camera. So yeah, they go on their journey. They're going off on a little trip together. They go into the woods, and Wendy starts noting how her friends had died here and stuff, and it's kind of creepy. And at one point she even mentions oh, you're all gonna die here, really creepy and when two of them go off into the woods and are killed by a mysterious force that we can't really see, one of them has a knife thrown through her head and the other guy is just stabbed repeatedly in the forehead, Wendy ends up telling her boyfriend that all her friends were killed here. She was the only survivor, and that she lured all the other three there in order to basically use them as bait for this killer so she could get revenge. And we see her do this, and we see her we see him die. We see her try to taunt this guy who can't be caught on camera for some reason. Apparently, according to this, the credits list him as the glitch. And so, like, she's like taunting it, luring it into traps, but nothing's quite working. Eventually, she's murdered too, after leaving a message on the camera. Apparently, she dies from when she's like bashed with the camera, and her being disemboweled was just, extra. But then at the end, we see her kind of like rising into the air and like flipping around and stuff. And according to this, it's like saying that, like, implying she's turning into a glitch as well. So I guess there's the implication that this is like, oh, a glitch kills you, you turn into a glitch. Kind of zombie logic, but kind of not. Um, okay, interesting. Um, then we get to the next interlude. Um, the corpse has returned to the room, but Rox is nowhere to be seen. So yeah, the corpse was gone for one point before, but I guess I didn't notice. After that, the next tape is the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Okay, and so this, why is the title that, first of all? But this is the one that's told through like the Skype chat, and this was the most confusing to me. So, there's a fly buzzing around, sorry about that. But yeah, she's like talking to her boyfriend on a chat, and he's like gonna be coming down in a week. And she's like, "Oh, strange things are happening. I'm hearing noises." She's rubbing her arm because she feels like this bump. And in one call, she even like digs into her arm, and it's like, ugh, I hated that. I hated that so much. But like she's hearing these noises, and she brings her like her laptop with her to like film everything, to showcase everything, so that everyone can see what's going on and all, basically. Well, not everyone, but, well, yes, everyone, us as viewers, but also the boyfriend. And they see like glimpses of stuff, but eventually they end up capturing these like childlike beings on camera, and she gets knocked out, and then he's revealed to not be like far away at all. He comes into the room, starts talking with the childlike beings, pulls something out of her stomach after cutting her open, and then like talks about like, oh, she has a tracker in her arm, that's what she's been rubbing at. And it's like, okay, are we gonna keep doing this? And it was very confusing. I was very lost as to what was happening. Luckily, this tells me exactly what it was. Apparently, these ghosts are aliens. What? I maybe it's because of the quality of the camera work and everything, but I could not tell if that was supposed to be obvious, because it was not to me. I was just thinking they were childlike ghosts. But no, apparently they're aliens, and the thing that James removes from Emily's torso is a fetus, an alien human hybrid fetus, because Emily is being used as an incubator by the aliens. What? What the fuck? Who comes up with this shit? Where did that even come from? That's so random. But yeah, he's asking them how much longer they plan to do this, and saying she may not survive much more. She noticed the tracking device, and so when he's like talking about breaking her bones, and afterwards, she's talking about like on the next video chat how she apparently walked into traffic in a fugue state. It's like, it's all just a guise to keep her unaware of what's actually happening. And then we flip to him doing this with another woman as well, basically implying that the aliens are kind of forcing him to do this, that they're forcing him to help do this to different women. And it's wild, and it's like, where the fuck did that come from? I did not guess that at all when watching. I did not notice those were supposed to be aliens. I did not notice that was supposed to be a fetus. I couldn't really tell what was going on. That was one of the big things with this segment. It's like I couldn't really understand it. But once knowing what's going on, it's like, what the fuck? That is so out of left field. That is so out of pocket compared to everything else in this. After that, we have the epilogue. Zach and the corpse are gone. Gary is the only one of the criminal gang left. He finds the, decapitated head and then is attacked by the old man who has become a zombie. I didn't catch that he was supposed to be a zombie. I thought it was like some kind of demon thing or whatnot. I wouldn't have guessed zombie. But he kills him, and then the final tape starts, which is 10:31:98. And this is, I guess, the radio silence one, because there's different directors and writers for each segment, which makes sense. This is the radio silence one. So on Halloween night, these friends head to a Halloween party. They go to the wrong address, but think they're at the right place. They sneak in, discover all this paranormal shit happening, and eventually come across some men doing this like satanic ritual with a woman. At first, they think it's part of the thing, but soon realize it's not. They try to escape, but go back in to save her. And the men and the cultists are being like dragged away and like levitated up to the ceiling and stuff. They manage to escape with the woman, get out, while avoiding paranormal shit happening all around them, poltergeist shit. And while they're traveling, she disappears from the car. They get like stuck on train tracks. They can't get out. They can't start the car. And she appears in front of them, all fine, and just kind of walks away before they get hit and killed by a train. Which was foreshadowed earlier when they were stopped at the train and everything. So that's fun. Uh, this one, I wasn't quite sure what was happening. But I thought I got kind of the gist of it until she disappeared, and then I was a little more confused. It's like, wait, did the ritual like work to some degree? What was going on there? Apparently, the ritual they were doing wasn't like some kind of satanic sacrifice. It was an exorcism. She was possessed by a demon, and yeah, like they shouldn't have saved her. When the guys are like saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't be here" and everything, and then they're being levitated off, it's because their ritual was stopped, and they were trying to stop her. They were trying to get the demon out of her and stuff. She had basically manipulated the friends into getting her out, and so yeah. And apparently, there's an alternate ending as well where they manage to get out of the car, walk away. The car is hit by the train and explodes. It's like just a little joke alternate ending. Um, and that's how the movie ends with clips of the first tape being shown again. Or tape 56, rather, the frame narrative. This was interesting and very different. If I had to say which of these tapes was my favorite, not counting the frame narrative, I think I might go for. I think I might go to the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger, just because of how batshit insane it ends up actually being. But the radio silence one at the end there, 10:31:98, was also really good. One of those two would be my favorite. My least favorite would probably be the God, what is it called? I have the thing up here. Tuesday the 17th. The one where they go with Wendy in the woods and there's the glitch and everything. That one just felt like it felt like it would have been better if it was a full length film. I even mentioned that it unlike some of the others feels like they could make a full movie out of it. And I still kind of stand by that. I feel like that one would have worked better as a feature length film with more to it and getting to actually know more and everything. As it was just kind of like compared to all the others. So it didn't really do it for me as much. But the frame narrative itself was probably the weakest part for me. It just completely unlikable, horrible characters, and with it being the frame narrative, didn't even have a lot going for it in terms of story or anything interesting. It's just like a way to get these tapes introduced into there. The movie as a whole, I like the concept of it, and I like that they chose to have the recordings be realistic in their depiction, but it admittedly made things very hard to like understand because certain parts were very dark, certain parts were just hard to like properly like look at. It made it very confusing, especially with certain cuts happening. And it's like there were certain parts I just didn't know what happened or what was going on. I had to look it up, like like the one with Emily and everything and the aliens. It's like, how the fuck would I have ever known that's what was going on there? With the way that it was shot and everything, I wouldn't I could not tell that those were supposed to be aliens. I could not tell that was supposed to be a fetus. I had no way of knowing that. Maybe if I saw this in theaters with like, a much bigger screen and better video quality, maybe I would have been able to tell that. But like watching at home, it's like I'm not going to be able to know what the fuck's going on there. Um I also like that while most of these were supernatural, I do like that one of them was just, kind of a slasher based thing with just these two women conspiring to kill the one's husband. It's like, I like that that's just out of place with everything else, but is also kind of interesting because of that. The actors all did fine. I had no problems with any of them. None of them stood out to me. None of them like did an amazing job, but none of them did bad. It was just kind of good in terms of the acting. Um, but yeah, the biggest issue was absolutely the way this was filmed. It again, it was very cool. It was very authentic, and I get that's what they were going for, but it made things very hard to understand, and it caused a lot of issues with comprehension of the film. The fact that I had to look up as much as I did just to understand what was going on, not the greatest thing. Um, Now, I will also say I do appreciate that there was equal opportunity nudity in this. And while there was more female nudity, especially with a lot more breasts being shown, they did at least show, in a couple of cases, men's asses, and even, you know, even before being ripped off, actually got to see penis in there. It was very brief, but it was in there. And I always appreciate when movies do that because women are sexualized in films a lot, like in horror films, but also in other things like comedies and whatnot. The point is, women are sexualized a lot, and men don't get sexualized as much. There are some, there are some exceptions to that. That's the word I was trying to think of. But like even a lot of times, like in a lot of those, cool action movies where men will be like walking around without a shirt, it's not for fan service like it is with women when they're showing off their tits and whatnot. It's power fantasy shit. Because those kinds of movies are usually made with a male demographic in mind. And it's more like, oh, this is like the ideal peak male specimen. That kind of joke. And it's like, this is what you should aspire to be. This is what it means to be a man and stuff like that. Bullshit like that, for one. But also, it's like, that's not really used for fan service. And some women watching, or even some men watching, or NBs, of course, can find attractiveness to that, of course. But that's not the intent of it. And the problem is kind of with society and the fact that we, like a guy standing around with his shirt off isn't seen as sexual, but a woman with her shirt off is, because of how we sexualize tits. And there's a lot you could go into about that and all, but we don't have time for that today. Um, but the idea here is I like that we got to see some stuff in here, even if it was brief, that is clearly there as sexualization for men, or well, of men rather. Again, I wish it could be more, and I've seen other movies do more with that. But at least it was there. At least they did something with that. And don't get me wrong, I like seeing titties as much as the next person. I love titties. Titties are great. But I want to see other stuff too. I like it when movies and shows and stuff aren't afraid of showcasing a guy's dick. It's like, why is that so much more hard to show than titties? And hell, you don't even see a woman's bush or vagina that often. It's like for some reason the lower sexual organs are seen as more sexual because I guess they're the act of sex and everything is done mostly through them. But it's like I don't know. It just feels like it's more one-sided if you don't do that. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. But I do like that even if it was just a little bit, there was some man service in here. I do really appreciate that. Um, the blood and gore was pretty good. I had no issue with that. It was a little tame, but nothing bad. And future installments in this might improve on that a bit. I feel like the biggest improvement I hope that future installments have are just with the video quality. That's the biggest one that I hope for. Because here's the thing, I understand like these different segments are taking place at different years, different times, with different kinds of technology. You have like a Skype call, you have like handheld camcorders and stuff. But it's like we can absolutely have these just take place in modern day with like modern day cameras and phones and stuff to make it look a lot better and a lot more visible. And I understand a lot of horror movies do this in general, even like ones that aren't in this kind of style, where it's like it's super dark during the scary scenes because that, in their eyes, makes it scarier. It's like, I'm sorry, this kind of shit happening is going to be scary no matter if it's dark or light out. It does not matter. But they always try to keep it dark, and a lot of times there are moments where you just can't tell what's happening. And that goes for plenty of other movies. So I hope the video quality is fixed in the future installments. If it's not, I don't it won't kill it, but it's going to be one of those cases where I'm probably going to have to keep looking things up in order to know what's going on. But yeah, it was still a good movie. I wasn't like blown away by any of the segments, but I enjoyed it. I wasn't like bored by it or anything. But tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you thought of this film down in the comments below. If there's anything else I missed or didn't talk about, please feel free to mention them. And thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.